Hey, this is Stephen with another MyCom tutorial, and today we're going to talk about the 5 basic things that you need to know about starting in After Effects. Let's go. Alright, so you can see here, just open up After Effects. You can see here some of my most recent projects. What you want to do is go up to here to New Project, and that'll open up a new project, and then wow, you are left with what is this? And so the first thing you want to do is hit Command-Shift-S to save as, or if you need to, go to File, Save As, boom, okay, and then we're going to put this with the rest of our project. All right, and so we'll type in After Effects, tutorial, hit save. So cool. So number one, I just want to show you the layout. All right, and you can see here, it shows you the version number, After Effects 2024, and also shows you it's saved and where it's saved to. All right, so now what do we do with all of this? Basically, I've got this, there's different layouts. We can go through different templates. If you just click the default, here we are, and this is a much different program because with After Effects, it's not a non-linear editing program like a Premiere, like a Final Cut, like a DaVinci Resolve, like we covered in the last tutorial. This is more of a layer base. Think of it more as like a Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or something of that effect, because the way the timeline works is much different. And so what I want to do is take you through just a little tour of what After Effects is. So here's the project panel, and this is where all of your compositions will go, is what they're called. Instead of timelines in Premiere, they're called compositions in After Effects. Don't ask me why it's different, I don't know. Next to that, I have the effects controls, and if you don't see any of this, you can always go up to Window, and you can click on whatever you want to see here. And so with the effects controls, that is right here. So for whatever reason that's not there, just hit Window, come down and find effects controls, boom, and it's there. So your project, effects controls. I've got another window here for essential graphics and properties. And then right here, this window is where your composition will go once you create a new composition. Down here is the settings for your composition and more of the timeline aspect of your composition. And then over to the right is all of your basic tools that you'll need. Pretty much everything you need can be found here. All right, so what do we do with this absolute blank canvas? So what I want to do is first go to Project, and again, with any other program, there's 100 different ways to do the same task. What I want to do is create a new folder to keep everything organized. And what I usually do is name a folder comps, C-O-M-P-S. That's where I'll put all of my compositions. I'll create another folder and name this elements. This is where I'll put different graphics or anything else that's kind of random in the project. I can make a different folder for footage. If I'm working with any types of footage, I can put that in here. Music, if I need to import some music. Whatever we need is right there. So in this comps, so you open up this little frame and it says create new composition. So that's what I want to do, open a new composition. And the way mine's set to, I've got like a custom preset here, but really it's super simple. Let's name this After Effects tutorial. Okay, the width is 1920, height 1080, so basic HD composition, square pixels, frame rate is 23.976 frames per second. That's just the general standard for 24 frames a second. Full resolution, that's on the playback. So if you want to go ahead and set that to quarter, if your computer's really slow, that will help some playback issues, but for now, I have that on full. The starting time code, if you want to start it at some kind of wonky time code, you can. And then the duration. So how long do we want this composition? Again, this the duration, how long do we want this composition to be. You can always change this after the fact, but the cool thing about this is if you create a new layer, then most of the layers will adjust to the duration of the composition. So it's a lot easier if you know, like, hey, I want to make a 15-second composition, then you can just set it there, and boom. You can see here in the comps folder, After Effects tutorial, and boom, that is down here in this window. And again, if you don't see this window, you can hit window and then scroll down, and this is the timeline. So you actually work inside of the timeline, inside of the composition. So it's a little bit confusing, but we'll get the hang of it here eventually. Okay, cool. So now that we have this composition open, you can see here there is a big black frame. Now what did we do with it? Basically, what I like to do is toggle on the transparency, because sometimes it can get confusing if you have a black layer that you see as black on your screen, but really it's transparent. And so I just like to know, hey, is this transparent or is this black? So you can toggle the transparency grid right here. And then what I want to do is create a new solid. Now what's a new solid? It's basically like getting the old paint bucket for Microsoft Paint and just filling the frame. So what you can do is you can go up to Layer, New, Solid, boom, and there's also a shortcut Command or Control if you're on Windows, Y. And so you can name this whatever you want to. I just normally leave it as black solid. You can make it the comp size, which it already is. And the cool thing is if you change this color, boom, you see it's red, it renamed it red solid. So we can do like a kind of a darker red here, hit OK. And once I hit OK, you'll see what happens. Boom, the screen is now red. Okay, great. Now that we have this, what can we do? Number 2, I'm going to show you how to build shapes. Let's say we want to create a new shape. So we want to animate on a circle, okay? So what I can do is go up here to the Shapes tool, and right now it's at a rectangle. You can click and hold it down, and that'll bring up this other menu. So you can see the rectangle, rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, or star. So what I want to do is go to the ellipse tool because I want to make a circle. And right now you can see here the fill color is red, which I can make. Let's make it white. And stroke, I don't want a stroke, so I'll click on the word stroke and then click on this window with the red dash on it, and that will make it no stroke. Okay. And so to create a circle, again, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I can just click, and if I don't hold the button Shift, it'll create an oval. It'll create basically the same aspect that I'm drawing from the corner. But if I want to create a perfect circle, what I can do is hold Shift, and boom, perfect circle. So let's call it like that, okay? And you can see down here, the shape layer, I can click on it, hit Return or Enter, and I can rename it to Circle. That way I don't get confused. And again, with this, it's very simple with just 2 layers, but once you work in projects with hundreds and hundreds of layers, which I've done plenty of times, it's always good to rename your layers. So what do I do with this circle? Okay, for one, we notice it's not centered, so what I can do with this highlighted, go to the Align. Again, if you don't see it, you can go to Window, Align, and that'll pop up. And I want to center it, so this will center it horizontally, and then this will center it vertically. And so one of the main things with After Effects is using keyframes, but with using keyframes, you need to watch out for this little guy. And this is the anchor point. This is the center to which everything will operate from. Number 3, the scale property is paramount. So let's say I want to change this scale. I want it to start at 0 where you can't see it, and then animate it on to where the size that it is. So if I hit the S button with this layer highlighted, it'll bring up the scale properties, and you see this little stopwatch. This is what you use to create a keyframe. Now you may ask, what is a keyframe? Keyframes are very simple. So basically, it takes whatever property right here is highlighted, and it'll animate. Say I want to put it at 1 second. it'll animate it to, we call this 0. So basically, it'll take the property and use math to scale it evenly from keyframe A to keyframe B, okay? And so you can see we kind of did that backwards. That's not a problem because what we can do is we can highlight both of them, right-click, and go to Keyframe Assistant and time reverse keyframes, and now it's flip-flopped. Okay, perfect. And now you see, whoop, we have a circle. All right. So now, I mentioned before the purpose of this anchor point. So what you can do is you can hit Y on your keyboard, and that'll bring up the Move Anchor Point. And you can click and drag this wherever you want to. So let's say I want it to animate on from the top left. It'll do that now because that's where the anchor point is. So, whoop. And if you want a quick way to make it centered, you can hold Command and double click on this Pan Behind tool. And that'll put it right in the middle. And now you can see it animates on from the middle. Whoop. All right. Now we've animated a circle. Congratulations, everybody. And one quick, again, we can get lost in the weeds in After Effects, but one quick little thing you can do to make this animation a little bit smoother is highlight the clip, highlight the keyframes here, and then right click and go to Keyframe Assistant and hit Easy Ease. And so what this does, it very subtly ramps up the start and ramps down the end. So it's not so static. So I can show you the little difference here. Let's scale this down to 50%. That way we can make an adjustment. So here is circle, again, naming layers, Easy Ease, and I can duplicate it by highlighting the layer and hitting Command D or Control D on PC. And let's name this No Easy Ease. And hit U. When I hit U on the keyboard, that brings up all the properties that are keyframed. I can hit S as well because that's the only one. Scale is the only position because scale is the only property that's keyframed. I can highlight that and hold Command and click on it, and that'll bring it back to regular keyframes. And so what I want to do is kind of show you the difference between the two. And so with this top No Easy Ease layer highlighted, I'm going to click, hold Shift and drag it over just so you can see the difference. So, and I'll also change the color of this just a little bit. I'll change it to like this, actually do like a bluish color here so you can tell the difference. So the blue circle on the left is the non-easy ease, and the white circle in the middle is easy ease. You can kind of see a difference here. And it's very, very subtle, but it helps to kind of, but it really helps to kind of smooth out animations. Okay, cool. So now delete these layers here. Number 4, we're going to create some text. And so you can go to Layer, New, Text. Boom. And you can see here, it brings up a little yellow cursor in the middle. And you can see this properties bin all the different text factors. And so here, let's do a Helvetica, bold, and we'll do all caps. And again, we can just name it MyCom. And looky there, we've created some text. Number 5, now that we've created text, we're going to move the text with position. So now what do? How do we animate this on? Again, there's 100, thousands, millions of possibilities here. What I want to do is have it fly on from the left side. And so what I want to do is hit the P button on my keyboard. That'll bring up the positions property. And again, same thing with the keyframe. Hit this little stopwatch, boom, and that'll create a keyframe. And I'll slide this over to about 1 second. And then what I can do, since I want to fly it on from the left, I can drag this property, the X value property, can take it and I'll hold shift so it moves a little faster and drag it off screen, just like that. And now wait for it. Once we hit spacebar to play, boom, MyCom. Boom. Okay, and again, I'll highlight the clips, right click, keyframe assistant, and easy ease. And that way it comes to a more subtle stop. And so again, there are millions of possibilities. Really, your imagination is the very limit to what you can do with After Effects. And I just wanted to show you a couple quick little tools that you can use in your tool belt to have After Effects be not so scary. And so you can get super fancy here. If you want to, you can go back to the beginning, hit S, hit the stopwatch, and go to a second here, and boom, hit the stopwatch again. If you want to get real fancy, you can scale this up really big and hit, remember how I told you that U pulls up all the keyframes, so I'm going to do that. And now I can change the position over here, and again, I can easy ease here, keyframe assistant, easy ease, boom. So now it kind of flies in, and scales down. Another popular animation you can do is to have it scale really big. So let's pretend like we're starting over. So I'll duplicate that, turn this guy off. If you want to preview other layers, or you can just hit this little eye button. Obviously, if you don't see the eye, it doesn't see you. And so this little circle here is the solo property. And so say I just want to see the background, boom, there's the background. If I just want to see this second layer here and the background, boom, we're right there. So let's hit U to delete these keyframes. And what I want to do is create another quick little scaling property scaling animation that I use a lot. And it's really cheap, really easy. Basically, I just scale it up really big, hit the keyframe, and slide over to the next keyframe, and take it down to 100. Boom. Highlight, right click, easy ease, and ready. Whew. Okay. And this one you might want to be a little bit quicker. So let's say if you hit Command and your right arrow on your keyboard, it'll move forward one frame. So maybe let's make it like a 4-frame transition, and we'll drag this. If you hold Shift, it'll snap to the playhead. So, whew. So even if it's off the screen, doom. Again, just really simple, really easy, just to add some dynamics to your text. So I hope this was enjoyable. I hope you learned something with After Effects. I know there is a ton more to cover in this great program, but again, just wanted to kind of give you a high-level view, some things you can do with After Effects that you may or may not be able to do in Premiere. Some things are a little easier in After Effects than in Premiere. It just all depends on what you're going for. So hopefully After Effects is not so scary to open for you anymore, and I would love to dive deeper into more tutorials. So if you're interested, just let me know, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.